how much more can we take of this? Right? How much more can we take of what's going on? It's been another week for us Arsenal fans. There's no two ways about that. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about what I think about it, and then we get on with some questions. The reason we're doing this again today because it was so successful last time. The only difference is that I've got to go out tonight, so that's why we're doing it early instead of later. But we're probably looking to do these more in the evening. Frustrating, yeah, it certainly is. I was obviously at the game on Wednesday, and let's start off. Let's start off with the first thing, like buzzing for the game. Really looking forward to it. Biggest game of the season. Biggest game for a very, very long time. For us as fans. As far as the championship and the title was concerned, 3:00 got the rumours, didn't we, about Thomas Partey, and I honestly have to say this: that it was a big kick in the old ghoulies. I have to say, I felt that. My excitement and enthusiasm for the game went a little bit. Now, people turn around and go, oh, it's only one player, and all that. But statistically, I think he's our most important player. And it was a big, big blow. Jorginho come in. I want to say this now. I thought he'd done well. I thought he'd done okay. But unfortunately, he's no Thomas Partey. When you go into these big, massive games against a team that has got more financial power than you, has probably got better players than you because they're world-class players. What you need is your best 11 playing. And unfortunately, to lose Thomas Partey and, of course, don't forget Jesus, I think Arsenal's two most influential and best players at the club and in the team. And it was always going to be a tough ask. In saying that, I thought we done okay. Looking back on it, I've watched the highlights of it. I felt we was in it. We done really, really well, and I have to say, give them a good game without our better players. But you just cannot make the mistakes that we made in that game. Tomiyasu, I don't know what he was doing there. Just knock the ball out for a throw on, reset, and go from there. There's times to play football. And I love it that we're playing out for the back and playing some really good stuff. But there are times when you just got to defend and defend properly. Experienced defender didn't do it. I felt it was a wrong decision. I said it at the time when Ben White weren't playing. I don't know why he weren't playing. I think a ridiculous decision from the manager, if I'll be honest. He's been our best defender. Yes, he's not been playing well in the last couple of games. Tell me who has. Tell me who has been playing really well in every single game this season. I probably... the only one that I can think is Saka. The rest, if you're going on that format, then everybody should have been dropped. It's ridiculous. I felt for Tomiyasu. I felt that it was a game when you're playing a massive game against Manchester City. He's probably missed a little bit of match fitness, if I'll be honest. A bit sharpness. I don't know. I just think it was just a poor thing to do. From my point of view. But listen, that was it. The big positive for me is that when we went 1-0 down, the reaction from the Emirates crowd, the reaction from the players was brilliant. We got the goal, we got the equaliser, and I felt at half time, City would probably been glad to go in at half time. We wasn't. Eddie missed a fantastic chance to put us into the lead. Or it might have even been the equaliser. I don't know, but we could have actually gone into that game winning. Gone into the second half winning that game. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. Second half, I felt, again, Pep just showed his qualities. He just changed it around a little bit, and we was. I thought caught wanting with some absolutely poor defending. Again, more older generation of fan that's watching this will know that when you've been taught to defend, don't let the ball bounce. But we was letting the ball bounce. The reason we're letting the ball bounce is so that we can get it under and play. I get that, but when you've got a beast, and I mean a beast like Haaland up against you, you don't play to his strengths. You don't give him a chance. We let him have a chance. I just thought, we was in it at some stage of the game. I felt then that we got outdone in the second half, and I just think again we was wanting physically, mentally, and tactically in the end. So I have to say that the players didn't quite perform. The manager, I don't think, done the right things in the game, and we move on. And that's how you got to look at it. I felt that. One thing is, I will say this: coming away from, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be really, really honest. I come away from that game frustrated because I didn't think City were that great. I think we gifted them goals. Yes, when they got their opportunities, they took them well. But we was more than a match for them. I felt we got ourselves into some very, very good positions. Poor decision making in the final third, which has happened in the last few games. Meant that we didn't make those goals. Also, I have to say that the front three, barring Saka, were off sorts, or shall I say four. Let's go into that first and foremost. Martinelli, yeah, I didn't think he was great. I said on my fan cam that I don't think that Gabriel fed him enough. Walker's on a booking. Why don't we go in at half time and say, right, just give him the ball, and Gabby, just go at him every single time. Just go at him every single. We didn't do that. We didn't put that into play. But realistically, I would have to say now that Martinelli didn't play well enough on the day, and has not been quite in the right form. Do you bring Trossard in for him? Well, that's something that they can do. On the other side, I thought Saka was superb again, but let's be honest, Saka had a very, very good chance. I've been informed that it was offside, or he would have been offside, but still bury it. It was a lovely, lovely, lovely move, and it ended up with Saka took too long on it and missed a chance. And that was a thing for me, chances missed. Eddie missed two very good chances in the first half. Didn't miss, I say that, missed one. I felt the other one from the fantastic Jorginho interception and pass, took far too long to get his shot off. And so that was disappointing. Martin Odegaard, let's talk about him. I thought was poor on the day again. That's a couple of bad games now that he's had. He's had three on the spin. If I think work rate still there, like him as a player, but not been quite at the races in the last three games. And well, one of the reasons why we're not scoring goals. Eddie, let's talk about Eddie. I think Eddie's took a lot of stick over the last couple of days, rightly so, because he is a goal scorer. He's missed the chances. When you look at someone like Eddie, he's not a Jesus. He's not a player that's going to create too much. He's there to score goals. I will say this. No guarantees that Jesus would have scored those headers in the game. But what Jesus brings to the party is a little bit different and can bring other things to the game. Eddie don't. So if Eddie doesn't score, then, you're going to be looking at them now. It's 4 games without a goal for him. I felt he looked a little bit jaded on Wednesday. His work rate, I'm never, ever going to question that. His ability is, there for everybody to see. But, I do think that it's a little bit unfair on Eddie. I think that as soon as we don't get a goal, it's always on Eddie's fault. It was on a couple of occasions he made some great runs, I noticed, and Xhaka should have fed him in, and he's then got a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but it didn't materialise, and that was the end of that. What we have to say is that Eddie is a backup striker. He's not the main striker, and this is what was the disappointing thing about losing Jesus. And I think in football you can get away with missing Jesus 1, 2, 3, 4 games, and which has been proved because Eddie has come in and done well in those games. But when it gets to 7, 8, 9, 10 games, it becomes a problem, and it has become a problem now. We're missing him desperately, like in these sort of games when you need something special. I'll go back to the game against Wolves, 0-0, struggling to break through, a little bit like the last couple of games that we played. Bit of magic from Jesus, we end up winning the game 2-0. And everybody walks away from that game and say, oh, well, Arsenal played and everything like that. But if we didn't have that bit of magic, we might have dropped points that day. And at that moment in time, Wolves were bottom of the league. So you need your big players. You need them to turn up. Unfortunately, the front 3 or 4 haven't really done it. Saka, I felt, done it in spells on Wednesday night, and I thought played really, really well. But you need your big guns to be playing. Then I look at Granit Xhaka. I'm a big fan of Granit Xhaka. I think we all are this season. He's been fantastic for us. Like for the first time, I watched him on Wednesday, and he looked shattered. He looked tired, and that's a big worry for me. Like I felt that I've not seen that from Granit. I've not seen him be like that, and I was disappointed with his performance. I don't think it's a bad thing. Maybe if he gets a rest in one game or not, I don't know. Listen, going into the game against Villa, it's a quick turnaround, and then we're going to have a few days off before taking on Leicester. So I think it'd be really, really interesting what happens with team selection on Saturday. Listen, at the end of it, let's put it all down and let's get into it and say what it is. Listen, let's not kid ourselves. This couple of weeks have been tough for us Arsenal fans, and it's not been good. And also, we're all talking doom and gloom because we've lost at home and drew at home the following game, and we've not quite been as good as what we have in the last few weeks. But the positive is, look at that performance when we went 1-0 down to half time. Really took it on, really, really played well. We need to put in some performances now against some winnable games that we've got coming up. And also win our next 3 games and we're top of the league. Doesn't matter what Manchester City do. If we win our next 3 games, we're top of the league. We're not out of this yet. We're not out of it. People will think that we were never in it. We were. I hear fans turning around and saying, "Oh, well, we never expected to come top. We never expected that. We was expected to get into the Champions League. We've done that." Yes, beginning of the season, I would go along with that. You know what I mean? I think we'd have all took top 4. But when you're 8 points clear going into February, you've got to say you're in with a title race. And I don't brush it aside when you fail it. The same people were saying when we got 5th last season, well, it don't really matter. We wasn't really planning for that. You know what I mean? You had the opportunity, you got to take it. We've had the opportunity, and we haven't took it at this moment in time. But it's not over yet. For me, I feel we're still in this title race. I'm going up to Villa tomorrow, expecting us to win. And also, I'm expecting us to still be challenging for this title. Why not? Why not? We've been good enough. The players have been good enough. I think it's down on Arteta now. I really do. Is he super? We're going to find out if he's super, Mikel, because these are the games. This is the game now where he needs to turn it around. A couple of defeats in the last few games. If you look at it, 3 defeats, one draw in the last 4 games. It's happened a lot on his watch as a manager. He's got good wins and then 4 or 5 defeats. That cannot happen if you're going to try and win titles and trying to get into the top 4. So yes, come on, bring it. It's on Mikel now. Everybody sings the song Super Mikel. Right, let's see if he is super. And do you know what? I think that he'll do well. I think that this is the time. I love what he's been saying in the press over the last couple of days. It gives me hope. I love the tweet that Saka come out and said, "We believe." So for me, this is where we back the team when we're a little bit down. We're a little bit worried. And yeah, we go into this game with concerns and, we're not going in with a lot of confidence. So the players need to show up. And this is when your leaders show up. Your manager leads from there and players leading on the pitch. Quick thing, I think 2 trains of thought for the team against Villa. You go with the same team or you switch it up. I think that we need to switch it up a little bit, so I'm going to turn around and say that probably like Tierney, I think has got a shout to come back into the team, play him in there, whether you rest Zinchenko or put him into midfield and give Granit Xhaka a rest. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think Mikel needs to do something a little bit different this time, For me, yeah, people have been saying Martinelli, drop Martinelli and bring in Trossard, Well, I would rather drop Eddie for Martinelli because the ceiling for Martinelli is a lot higher than the ceiling on Eddie. So I would do that. But if the manager decides to play Eddie and back him, Eddie needs to respond. You know what I mean? And so let's hope that he does. So I think that it's going to be a very, very tough game tomorrow. Don't forget, Villa haven't had a game in midweek. We have, but this is what we've got to do. You've got these tests to come over, and we need to defend a lot better than what we have in the last couple of games. Let's be honest. We need to keep a clean sheet. I think we will. I don't think it's going to be a fantastic game. I'm going to wear my gloves tomorrow because I bite my nails anyway, and I don't think I'll have much left of them. I don't think it's going to be a great game for us. I think that we're hopefully get a 1-0 win, and we go from there. So. Let's see what happens. So we're on to Dave now, and the questions are going to come in for the last 15 minutes. I'll try and answer as many as we can. Over to you, Dave.
Should we be trying Trossard and Martinelli together and bench Eddie for the Villa game? That's my wish. That's from Vic Lafia.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would do that for this game. I think that try and do a little bit something different. I think that we're going to need to be. They're going to be defensively compact and all that. It's going to need something to open them up. I think that we need players that are going to open it up from themselves, not rely on other people. That's not having to go at Eddie. I think Eddie relies on service. So for me, I will go that. I don't think that Arteta will. I think that he's going to back Eddie, and so be it if that's what he wants to do. But I would like to see Martinelli or Trossard in the middle, Saka and which one's not in the middle, out on the left. So for me though, I would go Trossard on the left, Martinelli and Saka. That would be my front three.
Nice. Okay. Convenient. Somebody's called Bottle Job FC. He said it's so painful right now. This Villa game. I'm going to turn it into a question because will it set the tone for the next 6 games?
100%. 100%. Listen, we've got six games now. I'll run them through you. Like we have, obviously, like we've got Villa, then we've got Leicester, then we've got Everton, then we've got Bournemouth, then we've got Fulham, then we've got Crystal Palace. If you're winning titles or want to win titles, you win all of them. You know, and at the beginning of the season, we had a sort of little run like that where we got all the wins, and people said, "Oh, you ain't played no one yet. You ain't played no one yet." Like, you know, so. It is very, very important that we win this game and then get back on the winning track. I honestly think that if we win on Saturday, we've got a great chance of winning the league. I think if we lose on Saturday, I think we've got to be looking over our shoulders at top 4 and worrying about that, like, you know, because it's not a blip then. It's a major concern if you're losing 4 games. So let's see what happens from there. But yeah, I think this is a massive, massive game. We need to win it.
Yeah. So we got Lucas Hood 92. He says, Lee, what do you think about the the infamous KDB and Arteta push? Do you think that motivated City more after that happened?
Do you know what? That's a great question. I don't know how everybody feels about that, but I was annoyed by the reaction of the Arsenal players from that. Didn't do nothing. Like, once he done that, the next time he got the ball, he should have been smashed. He should have been smashed. You know, you don't do that to our manager, sort of thing. Like, you know, I was very, very disappointed with Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like from that point of view, and I think maybe I'm wrong here, but if we was winning games 2 or 3 weeks ago, something would have come from that. We'd have, like, you know, I just felt that it was a poor reaction, and yeah, you know, I think if it was the other way around, one of our players done that to Pep, there would have been a bigger reaction than what there was from Arsenal fans. So I was disappointed with that. Like, yeah, I'm going to say very, very disappointed.
We've got GB here saying, can we rely on the fitness of Thomas Partey and development of Sambi Lokonga going into the next season with the UCL football, of course, Champions League football on the cards?
Well, we haven't got Champions League.
We need 2 quality CM signings in the summer. He's thinking Rice and Caicedo, obviously the Caicedo talk.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, you know, it'd be very interesting what happens when we go with that Caicedo, if we're going to go back for him, because, you know, you've gone from in this January window. I will get both in, because not only would they help the near, they would the here and now, they'll also be the future of the team. You know, Thomas Partey's in again, and she's 30s going next season, 31 for Xhaka. And looking back on Thomas Partey now, I think we need a replacement for him now. Like, this is too many big games. Love him as a player, but I can't go like this every time the team sheet comes out and worrying and not relaxed because he's out all the time. It's not on. So for me, got to look to replace both next season.
Nice. This is a question for you again, of course. Well, it's always for you, Lee. Sorry. You're a regular at the rugby. What are your thoughts on how VAR works in rugby but not in football?
Yeah, listen, I think it's a lot better in rugby. I've got to say that. You know exactly what's going on. It's in the stands and everything like that. But I think when it comes to VAR and rugby, I think that you just have to look at the way things are. The atmosphere, the difference between going to a rugby game and a game of football. It's not as volatile. People drinking with each other and things like that. It's a different culture. So it works because their culture's different, in my opinion.
Okay, nice. That was the same question before. Lee, who do you think Mikel is playing Eddie for the full 90 minutes and not trying? Sorry, let me rephrase this. Lee, why do you think Mikel is playing Eddie for the full 90 minutes and not trying Martinelli or Trossard up top? Why do you think he's sticking on his judgment with Eddie?
Because he believes in him. He's not let Mikel down very many times, has he? Like up until Wednesday, I don't think he's let the manager down in any shape or form. And his work rate's there. It's just unfortunate that he's not quite good enough. You know what I mean? And why the manager hasn't changed nothing from there, I don't know. But listen, sometimes you have to back your players and to try and get you through a sticky patch. And I think we tried to back him. I think he'll back him again on Saturday, if I'm honest. So and that's what makes a good manager or a poor manager. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But I think that sometimes you have to look to change things a little bit. Mikel didn't do that. But listen, when I say that, I say it also on the fact is that, listen, we've got to where we've got doing what we've been doing. So it's very, very hard to say, right, I'm going to change it, because you've had a couple of bad results. But what I'm saying is, it goes down as a blip, but then eventually it's more than that. So that's when you need to change it. I think now, if things don't go well, and let's hope they do go well at Villa, then the blueprint has to be changed.
Nice. Next one, we've got Goran Talis. He says, we're 3 years into the project now. The squad is still wafer thin.
Yeah.
And just 1 or 2 injuries derail us. Surely that's a sign that massive mistakes have been made by Edu and Arteta in the market. What are you thinking of that?
Yeah, I'm going to go along with that. If things don't work out, I think that that they've both got to have a look at themselves and and the board, because you're dead right there. We are in this project at this moment in time, and we're still very, very light in areas, and that needs to be addressed, especially if you've got Champions League football coming up next season. I'm with that. I think it's been poor. As I say, we're very, very light in midfield. How can you go into January and be lighter in midfield than what you was when you started? So I tend to agree with that.
Next one, we've got Mark back Redan. Lee, do you think our errors were unforced or due to City's pressing?
Bit of both. I'm going to have to say that. I think you have to give credit for them on certain things. We got lucky with a penalty, didn't we? Because it was offside. I don't think no one forced Tomiyasu to do what he done on that. It was just poor play for that first goal. Maybe the way that they press caused us a few problems in the second half, so I'll go along with that. But listen, you have to, you can't keep, blaming yourselves for things there. You know what I mean? I think Manchester City in the end deserved to win the game because they got quality players in quality areas. I don't think we had more possession, we had more chances than them, but they were more clinical, and that's because they're a very, very good team. So A bit of both, but I think if you look back on it, some of those errors you don't expect from top quality defenders, and unfortunately, they did on that day. The other point, what I will say, is that other games maybe we get away with them, but they were clinical, and that's because they've got quality.
Yeah. We have Chaitanya, regular listener. Thanks for the super chat again. Lee, are you concerned about Thomas Partey missing big games? About time we start looking for a replacement for next season.
Go along with that. I'm fed up with it now. I'm a big Thomas Partey fan, as everybody knows. He's so important and integral to the team, but he's missing too many games. I think this season he's missed the less games than in the previous seasons. And look where we are in there. He didn't play yesterday on Wednesday. We lost. Didn't play at Old Trafford and we lost. Come off against Everton and we concede. If you're going to play the way that we play and everything like that, you've got to have someone in that very, very pivotal role that's going to be there 9 times out of 10. Hopefully 10 times out of 10. But you know what I mean. He's not there long. He's not there enough for us to rely on him.
Cool. Next one we have Sebastian. He says, "Do you think that Arteta can convince Saka to stay? Worried that he's looking around and questioning the team's ability. If you look at Mahrez Man United winger, Man City winger.
Yeah, I look at Mahrez. Potentially you could see Saka going there, and being a replacement for him if we don't sort out his contract or whatever. I think if Arsenal can carry on going the way that they're going, why would you want to leave? Because we look like we are going to be challenging over the next couple of seasons. Big decision for him to make. But he's still very, very young. I still think that he'll look to stay at Arsenal, but I think that he's going to need convincing with what players are coming in the summer as well. If I was him, I'd be doing that. I'd be going, well, I want to stay, but what players we're bringing in, and I want to be winning things at Arsenal. Are you going to be able to provide that? So, I think the good thing is, from our point of view now, with all these allegations hanging over Man City, why would you want to go there? It could end up being in Division 2 in a couple of a year's time or so. So I think that's a positive for us.
This is actually a good question. Do you think the Europa League will be a distraction for our title chances?
Yeah, I do.
What do you think Arteta sees probably the Premier League as priority? Do you think?
Well, I don't think we've got a big enough squad, Dave, to I don't know who the question was from, but it's a very good question. I don't think we've got Lawrence. I know Lawrence. So, all right, Lawrence. I don't think the squad's strong enough to compete on both. It's not strong enough to compete on one. That's what we're saying with the league at this moment in time, aren't we? You've also got Thursday, the travelling and everything like that coming in there. I'm going to be really, really interested when I see that who we get first of all, foremost in the cup. I think that gets drawn next Friday. We're away first leg, whatever happens. So we'll see where we are. And it'd be interesting to see who travels and actually what team we play in that game. But I look at Manchester United, who played, of course, Barcelona yesterday. They played a very, very strong side. But listen, and at the end of it, Manchester United have played a lot of games this season, and they're still playing the same strong side. So it'd be very, very interesting to see what happens there. So I don't think that I wouldn't be disappointed if we went out of it, but if we're not going to win the league, then I want us to win the Europa League. I want us to win the trophy this season. So it's a real, real difficult one. I think that if we'd have won our last couple of games and we've been 8 points clear, let's go for the league. But there's no guarantees now that we're going to win the league. So it's a real good question. That, what do you do? Let's see what the draw takes first, and then go from there.
Nice. Last few questions, guys. Adam says, "Why did Arteta play Tomiyasu instead of White versus City?"
I don't know. I'm going to say I'm baffled by it. Mistake. You know, hindsight's a wonderful thing because he didn't have a great game, did Tommy? But I wouldn't have done that in the first place. You know what I mean? Ben White has been our best defender all season, consistently best. You know, why change it? It's very, very surprised with it. He's not been quite the same since he's come back from the World Cup. I don't know if it's got anything to do with it, what's happened there, like, you know, but he did have a poor game against Manchester United, was taken off, fair enough. But I thought Everton, no one played well. He bounced back. I thought done all right against Brentford. But, you know, yeah, I'm baffled by that. Poor decision.
Next one we've got is from Chaitanya. Again, Lee, we have another we need another forward. I would like to take Tony. The way he played versus Saliba and Gabriel showed us how intelligent he is.
Yeah, I would like to see Tony at the club. Whether we will. The trouble is, if you're, you know, Ivan Tony, if you get him, he's going to be a lot of money. If you're going to be buying players like, as we said, Casido and Rice, you're not going to have a lot of money left in the kitty. But listen, you know, I wouldn't be against it. I don't know how people feel about it if we was to sell Eddie as part exchange of it or something like that. Wouldn't be a bad thing. Don't forget we've got Balogun coming back next season, so Jesus, Ivan Tony, and Balogun as a free going into Champions League football and things like that would be very good. Yeah, I just see the question. Someone he's going to be banned at some stage. Yeah, but he's not going to be banned forever, is he?
That's the truth. Ivan Tony asked a question. It's not the real Ivan Tony. Who do you blame more for bottling the 8-point gap in 3 games, Edu or Arteta?
Well, it's not
anything. Maybe a mixture of everything, really.
Well, no, Edu. It's nothing to do with Edu, is it? You know what I mean? You don't pick the team. You know, you got to look at the players and the manager. I don't think we've bottled it or anything like that. You know, we've had a poor performance against Everton. It was a poor performance. I don't think we was great against Brentford, but it was. They're a good side, and a decision went against us, which we know was the wrong decision. And against Manchester City, we had our best. You know, we had Thomas Partey out, and we still put in a good performance. Didn't get the result, but you know, listen, football's funny. You know, we could go and beat Villa on Saturday, and Manchester City could lose to Forest, and then all of a sudden we're 3 points in front again with a game in hand. You know, we always knew that this. See, what really that does annoy me when people say, "Oh, we bottled an 8-point lead." Well, we weren't bottling it when we got that 8-point lead, was we? At some stage we played well enough to get that 8-point lead. So, you know, I think it's very, very disrespectful when people say, "No," but look at Arsenal crumbling and all that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, to crumble, you've got to be able to get there in the first place, and we've got there in the first place. And what's important there is to make sure we keep maintaining it. So I don't think that we bottled it or anything like that. You know, we lost against Everton. Manchester City lost against Spurs. You know what I mean? So, you know, it could be a lot worse. Listen, this Premier League's not an easy league to win, and whoever ever thought it was going to be easy, you know, it's not. What you know, when we expect us to go and beat Everton, go and beat Brentford, go and beat Manchester City, then go and win this week, go and win the next week and everything. Somewhere along the line, you're going to have a little blip. Now, Manchester City have had a little blip before the World Cup. No one was saying to them they're crumbling or bottling, are they? Like, you know, it's just they're just having a bad run. But they've rectified it. And that is what Arsenal have got to do now, rectify that bad run.
Yep. And the final question is, Lee, what would be your starting 11 for Saturday?
Starting 11 for me, I would go this. It's maybe a little bit extreme, like, you know, from that point of view. I would go with Ramsdale in goal, Ben White right back, Saliba and Gabriel, Tierney at left back, Jorginho, Shinchenko and Odegaard as my 3 in midfield. Up front, Saka, Martinelli and Trossard.
Julio. Well, everybody will like to put your predictions below for Villa. What's your prediction scoreline for Villa?
I'm going to go like Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 1. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I just think we'll just get over the line on this one.
Nice, guys. Well, that's pretty much it. Anything final words you want to say, Lee, before you sign out?
I
Any
just want to
final thoughts on
say
the Man City or Villa game?
the last few words I'm going to say is like, keep the faith. We've been in magnificent form for most part of the season. And when you're having a little bit of a bad time, that's when you've got to support. Come on, you Gunners.